everything.
Well, so like if I wanted to be a diva and I would just explain something. Oh wait, hold on. You want?
Can
No.
also, can also.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Time for Mental Health. Time for Mental Health is a podcast where we aim to normalize the sharing of mental health experiences. I'm your host Fabian. Join with me, we have Delia and Talya and a very special guest. He's a published author of the book called This Life Electric and also a poet. He's none other than Adam. Let's welcome him to the studio.
Hey, hi.
Hello.
Okay, so today we'll be talking about like expression of storytelling. We'll dive deep into the intimacy of writing. If you like mental health related content, do remember to subscribe to the channel. If you like what you're hearing, leave a like. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section below. So before anything, would you like to give an introduction to the international audience or Singaporean audience about yourself?
Hi, my name is Adam. I'm the founder of the Novel Encounter, and on the surface, it kind of looks like I'm just an online website that sells mystery wrapped books and customized poems. But my intention is actually more than that. My intention is actually not just to champion mental health, but also to actually create a safe place for people to actually not just to feel a little bit more home, but to feel a bit more connected to other people. Simply because, like, I don't know if I should state right now what customized poetry is, but people just give me 3 words and I write them a poem on the spot, whether it's at live events or purchased from my website. And the funny thing is that words kind of mean something specific to every individual. For instance, the word curry puff for me could literally be something from Old Chang Kee, right? But curry puff from you could be something that you used to make with your mom when you were a kid. And as a result, there's a lot more nostalgia involved. And so when I write these poems, these words that people pick, it usually means something significant. It makes them feel that there's more shelter for them,
Right.
which is what I always want to create in terms of when I write or anything.
Just a off question. But if you...
What's up?
What are the other pastime hobbies outside of writing? Do you have any
You mean currently or before poetry?
currently?
Is it sad if I say nothing? Yeah. Okay, no, like, okay. I like, one thing I like to do is I like to run because it kind of makes me feel a little bit more free and easy. But in general, everything that I enjoy has something to do with writing or reading. So whether going to a cafe to write or to read or to overhear a conversation or going to a concert or something, everything has to do with the way words string together. And
Right.
I always love how, like, if you think about almost anything in this world, almost anything sincere comes from a place of a good story. Whether it's a brand or if it's a relationship or a movie or anything, there is a story that comes behind it. And I always like how words string together.
I think that's very fundamental in human nature because, like, you know, in the past, we just by the campfire, just sharing stories.
like a tribe.
Right? Yeah, like a tribe. So I think it surfaces now in modern times more so in words and strings of like poetry.
Is that satisfaction like something that really inspired you to become like a poet or?
I mean, as with most creatives, I think you write because you feel that that's the best way you can express yourself. So when I was a kid, I had a very bad stammer. So like I would, it literally feels like the words are getting choked in your throat, and then kids would laugh, right? And then sometimes I think people who would try to understand, you could see the impatience. Like people, we wouldn't hide the impatience. Like it's like when someone's trying not to yawn, they go, or something like that. And you just know it. So then as a result, you try and cut short. For me, as a kid, I was always a little bit, I won't say empathetic, but I just knew, I could kind of tell when someone was impatient with me. So as a result, I'll just stop talking. And I'll talk less and less and less. And as a result, that's when I started to write. Because then you can be as fluid as you want. So writing was my outlet. I used to have notebooks and notebooks in my house. Like what you said, just stacked with what I was thinking.
Wow.
And then one day, like my mom saw it, she's like, oh my God. Why do you have so many things in your head? Yeah.
Did your parents allow that expression for you? Also?
Oh yeah, for
Like,
sure. So as a kid, I know that you say that you like to do music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just had the same feeling like when I was young. I just always listened to radio. You know, when I was young, my generation, like we used to have infrared.
How old are you?
Your generation, we're all
are
the
you?
same generation.
Are you riding dinosaurs to school?
Back then, they only have infrared, right? There's no Bluetooth
Yeah,
also. So
infrared, you connect the phones
Yeah,
together.
I'll go around asking for songs. Yeah, listen to radio, 97, Muttons at midnight.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's
buttons.
cute. Yeah.
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 always had
remember.
this like
Hello,
feeling
mutton.
there on
Yes,
the-
mutton. That was childhood.
Yeah. So after secondary school, I decided to pursue like music. To just try it. Once I completed it, the uncertainty, because we have so many uncertainties in life, right? Like we don't even know whether the bus will hit you after.
For knock on wood.
Yeah, but anyways, like after completing the diploma,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, but after completing the diploma, I know like for a certain fact that I treat it as a hobby. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's one uncertainty crossed off.
Yeah.
I think maybe like people in our era, we grew up with, okay, learn the techniques first, and then you express your creativity on top of using these frameworks that you have. Like, how to draw a human face. You must like know where the center is and draw that lines. So like, I don't know any of that. That means I can't draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're like grown up in quite a
Theory-based first.
over-practical-
Very theory, yeah.
Theory,
yeah.
then yeah.
Or like just a pragmatic world lah, where like only when your creativity can be used to make money or something, like when it's
Yeah.
super high skill, then it's actually worth doing. But yeah lah, I think that's not the case lah.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of creative sides that we are in adulthood is very tied to our childhood. So like, I was just wondering if like your parents encourage you to be creative. Because all four of us, I feel like, have our own creative side and we still practice it today.
I wouldn't say I was ever encouraged, but I was never discouraged.
Yeah, okay. I think
Yeah.
that's good enough as a
Yeah,
Singaporean.
that's so
For a
good,
Singaporean,
right?
right?
As a Singaporean, it's very good already.
I mean, once in a while, like I think my relatives would be like, "You can be lawyer though, lawyer writing what?" but in general, like they've never discouraged me from doing what I wanted, which is actually very, very like nice of them, lah.
Yeah.
Like okay, like similarly, like when I do live events, almost always there'll be someone who says this. So the words just come out your head. And there'll be that one person. There'll be another person who's an uncle and auntie. 100%. They always say, "Wow, so your parents let you do this, ah?" Almost always. I don't know why, but it's always like, "Oh, you earn how much, ah?" And I'm like, "No, there's a queue behind you, right?" It's like, "Oh, you earn how much, ah?" Like your father let you do this, ah? Then how? Then in the future you cannot. But, okay, so what 3 words? Please move on. Okay. Yeah, so it's just I don't know if it's a counterintuitive thing where people enjoy experiencing creativity, but they find a huge stigma against what creativity can provide for you and your family in the future.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you guys.
I think parents just want the best for you. And then they just, if you want to practice something that is artistic, fine. But your career or you need to have a backup.
Yeah.
That's always the case. Yeah.
I agree. Like it's a very Singaporean thing.
Very.
You always have a plan B for this creative aspect that you have. You always have to have like a grounded
Yeah.
9 to 5
Yes.
job.
Yeah. So I was wondering how your parents were okay with you guys taking music and art for your
Definitely
school.
not okay.
Not okay.
Yeah, because I was like, I was quite in the previous episode. I did mention that I was quite a teacher's pet, so I always got like pretty good marks. Always got bursary and all the stuff, but never really felt like contented with that. So I wanted to pursue music, and then my parents like, "Wow, you wasted, yeah, really. Really, like you can go study business, you can study like become doctor, all this, very Asian.
yeah, typical
Doctor,
Asian.
lawyer.
Yeah.
But I still took it against my parents' wishes. And halfway through, I think majority of the backlash actually came from school while being in that course.
Huh.
Yeah, the lectures actually, I don't know, but they came off as like, oh, music is no future one, Yeah.
What did your lecturers say that to you?
They are the ones that actually like,
I'm confused.
but I guess it's also a way like they, at the start, right, they push those who are really not interested, just go and change first. Like change to
Or
another
maybe
mod
they don't
first.
want to get your hopes up, thinking that, once I graduate, I'm gonna like be really successful in the entertainment and like music industry. So they're just trying to set the expectations. And then
be,
those
could be.
people that like, okay, I'm a quit.
Yeah, it could be.
Talya, what about you?
Yeah, for me, I was very fortunate because my parents are my parents are self-employed. So my mom also, she does
they understand.
workshops and she's very creative in a certain sense where she teaches a lot of different things like even belly dancing and
Wow.
from belly dancing to aromatherapy to grooming one. So very different things.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
so she's very creative in that sense also. And so my parents are always like, I don't want you to follow the typical Singaporean route. I want you to do what you love. And so like last time when I was younger, they had an office and they would encourage me to paint the entire wall for them. So I would do artworks for them, and I'm always revamping my room also, and they just let me like do whatever I want.
That's very sweet.
Yeah.
and
Meanwhile, we're like, don't draw the wall.
I mean, of course, but I cannot do it outside lah. Like I do it in my own room. So there was one time I just painted my whole room one wall black, and then I used it as a giant chalk wall. I drew a giant dinosaur on it.
That's sick. How old were you?
Wow.
I think like 13. Like
Wow.
13, 14. My grandpa was an artist also, so that's why they are also
Right. That's
Quite
Yeah,
open
yeah,
to
very
this.
artistic family.
Yeah,
in
the
general,
whole
right?
family.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, my parents itself, they're not like, they can't like so-called draw in that specific term. But yeah, my mom is just like creative, where she's like to explore things, like to try different things. Like, yeah.
So was there a particular time in your life where poetry saved you?
Hey, deep there. I think it's a consistent thing. It's kind of like if someone said to you, "Hey, when you've can you name a time that you fell in love with your girlfriend?" You'd be like, "No, it's kind of like a consistent thing." Like,
Okay, so there's no one
but
particular.
yeah, but in general, it's usually when in moments of like ache or moments of frustration, right? I can turn it to poetry rather than just stew in it, because then after you write it, it's kind of like a part of me almost feels jealous of artists and like singers. Like you imagine like Adele when she sang "Rolling in the Deep" and it's her like frustrated. You imagine her hearing like 10,000 people sing along. And you must be up there like, yeah, this is my moment. Yeah, this is mine. She must be looking in the mirror like, you a bad woman. So in terms of like poetry, like I write so I can express, and I write because I can express. And it's a very therapeutic thing to write something that was meant just for me, but people say that they feel like, or it feels like when someone says that, I kind of feel that it was written for me, or I feel like I can relate. That shows that, it shows that it's not just that I'm not alone, it's that other people can also feel comforted by this as well. So poetry is consistently saving me. That's what I think.
Has the content that you put out, like writing, right, has it changed over the years or?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean there's one point in time where the people pleasing side of me, I started to realize that heartbreak poems get more engagement.
True. It's like, songs, like
Love songs.
Yeah.
And so I started to
Yeah.
post more like sad poems, even when I was in a good mood. And as a result, it felt very disconnected from me. Like I wanted to write and then publish it. But it became a moment where I was like scheduling poems. Okay, well, Friday 8 p.m. Yeah, there's a lot of heartbreak right there. Yeah, I'm gonna slot this here. Okay, Sunday afternoon. Oh yeah. So yeah, someone's gonna be emo. I'm gonna put this here. Valentine's Day. Okay. But then it became very inorganic. So I started to only post stuff after, like immediately after I write it, I'll post it, like without caring about the likes or the views or
Right.
anything, because that's how I felt in that moment.
Yeah.
So it almost feels like a time capsule. So when I can go back, I'll be like, oh, this was published on this day. Oh yeah, that was the day that this happened. So if you're able to, which is hard when you're running a social media like channel, right?
Yeah.
It's when you can dissociate from the engagement, then that's where you can be really engaged by yourself. Oh my
Wow.
god, that's a line. Oh my
Got
god.
it on camera.
Yeah, and that's really why it like why I write anyway. It's not for that. I think when I first started out writing poetry, it was for catharsis. I was like, I feel like this, okay, I'm gonna write it. But then when people start telling me that they can relate or they feel similarly, I realized that actually people just don't talk enough about what they're feeling. And imagine if it's, how do I put this delicately? Imagine if it's like a super wealthy investment banker dude, right? Who's always known as the alpha male type, and he's going through personal struggles. What is his outlet? And I'm not gonna say popping bottles. I'm just gonna say like, what is his outlet, right? In general, where are all our different outlets that we can actually express ourselves? And so I wanted to use poetry or use words or conversation to actually let people or help people express themselves or like talk more about their feelings. Because like the reason why I brought up the investment banker example is because I have a good buddy who actually tells me, he's like, I feel kind of crap because I don't know how to express myself. I'm like, you can. Like you literally don't have to have a published book to express yourself. Or like what we were saying just now, about how it's people sometimes relate, because even till now I have imposter syndrome. Like if you put me with a room of poets, right, I will freak out. So I think everyone feels that they don't belong here. But I think expression, you don't need to have some kind of credential in order to do it.
Right.
You just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like as long as you're human, everyone is like equal in that space.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, that's the kind of thought process I had when I first started writing my book.
Yeah.
I wrote it 1 year ago, and I'm now editing it. Going to
Nice.
But yeah, at the beginning, it's like, oh, who am I? You know, I'm not a writer. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
But then just do it. Just start writing, and then it will get you somewhere. And then I start doing more research, how to self-publish, how to print, how to whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just comes along the way. Yeah. It's just a way to express yourself.
Let me
And
know
the
when
most
it's out
authentic.
there. Let me know when it's out. Nice. Yeah.
Are you gonna write something new or anything
I'm
coming
planning
up?
it now.
Oh,
Actually, it's funny that we're in a room of creatives, because my next book is, okay, without giving too much away, it's a celebration of creativity. So I want to create like not really dystopian. I want to make a magical realism story where it's where creatives go to hide. And yeah, that like is taking me so long to even plan it out. But I'm really excited to write it.
so you started planning but haven't really.
I'm at chapter 7.
Oh,
It's gonna be 25 chapters, and I think
wow.
I'm gonna have to edit it a lot. It's because I'm not the expert in many fields. So when I'm writing a story that celebrates creatives, you must have a lot of experts in their field, right?
Right.
So then I must ask a lot of people, okay, what does this mean? How do you do this and everything? So it's been challenging, but it's fun. Like, because I've always wanted to write something that celebrates human creativity. Yeah.
so this one was more non-fiction.
No, this one's fiction.
Oh, it's fiction.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a make-believe place.
Ah. Okay,
Cool.
okay. Wow, I'm
Yes.
excited for
Yeah.
it.
Yay, thank you.
I
Thank
want
you.
to read that.
Yay,
Yeah,
nice.
me too.
Any new events coming up?
You can find out most of my information on my Instagram, which is the Novel Encounter, and where I'll be talking about like when I have new published works or whether I have any new live events or whatnot. And actually every Friday, I have this chat session where people can ask and tell me anything, and that's usually where a lot of people like open up and express themselves, which is something that I
wow.
really enjoy doing.
Is that Instagram Live?
Yeah, no, Instagram Live is just now it's an NGL.
Yeah, I think and that's why we also got you on, because like we're also a lot about like just getting people to share their struggles like genuinely, and our platform is so much about like talking about your struggles, and especially people who like don't really dare to say it in front of other people. So you have the online space is good in that sense where you can say it anonymously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for
Very welcome.
Doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Right. That's the end of Time for Mental Health. See you guys in the next episode. Bye.